So, hello and welcome to the New Gig podcast. I'm your host, Glenn Hodgson, and today I'm delighted to be joined by the co-founder of Narwhal Network, Arta Istrefi. How are you doing, Arta?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing well. Thank you. How about you?
Excellent. Now, Arta, good day to you, and just basically give us a little bit of an overview of your background and personal journey as an entrepreneur, because there's a number of roles that you've had. And also current
Correct.
activities that you're involved in as
Yeah, I
well would be
actually
great to
started
have an
working
update
at
on.
a young age. Yeah, you hear me now? All good? Okay, I actually started working at a young age, just 17, on a national TV. That early experience really set the stage for my career, showing me the importance of persistence and adaptability. And from that moment, I have never stopped working and studying, pushing myself constantly on the roles that expanded my understanding and impact. So one of the roles that I've held in the past is political advisor to the Minister of Trade and Industry here in Kosovo. In that position, I got a firsthand look at how policy shapes national economic development, and also had the chance to work in very important projects that were linked to empowering women, particularly those marginalized communities. This was very fulfilling at that time being, and it kind of set the groundbreaking for my interest also in private sector while having this opportunity to work with empowering women. And over the time I moved more actively in private sector because I just realized that that's where I can have and see more impact from myself. I'm now based in Kosovo, where I serve as a country program officer for Swiss Entrepreneurship Program. In this position, I've had the chance to meet so many founders, products, services, international experts, where we match them and help them to grow their business. And I also am a lecturer of entrepreneurship and innovation, and just lately started having my own business as which is called Narwhal Network. This came as an offer from Ethan Mayers, who is the visionary behind this whole business. And it was something that I was very excited because, as you can see, I did a couple of things during my career, and at the same time, multiple things. So it was always tricky to kind of tell people what exactly I do because I always did more than one thing. And this is what Narwhal Network will do, creating portfolio careerists and fractional workers, which we believe will be the future.
So, in terms of normal networks and the problems that you're solving, give us a little bit more of the sort of the backgrounds and details on that, please, Arta.
Sure. The Narwhal Network was founded with a vision of really redefining the future of work by supporting professionals who seek portfolio careers. Uh, but it is more known now, the term of fractional, which, just to define what fractional means, it's not a freelancer because freelancer is based on a project and he or she gets paid on a project base. A consultant is also somebody who does some paperwork on a specific period of time and gets paid for that. Whereas for a fractional, you actually bring your whole self, you're embedded to the company, you are paid with a salary, but you're not full-time working there. So now we are in the area where traditional career path is not suiting anymore everyone. And particularly after pandemic, COVID, this was more vivid, where people didn't really like to go to the office or have this 9 to 5 job. And many talented individuals want to work fractionally, just combining multiple roles to leverage their diverse skills or gain variety of experience, or simply creating more fulfilling lives. So the Narwhal Network is really addressing this shift by providing a platform where individuals can connect, share resources, find opportunities across different projects and industries. And one of the core problems that we are trying to solve with this Narwhal Network is the lack of support for this community, because it is still new, the fractional. So it's quite widely spread in developed countries, but still many unknowns for both sides, the company side and individuals. This is what we've seen. So that's why we believe that We must also support the educational part for individuals by helping them create better personal branding, maybe have their personal CRM, and also really how to say, present themselves appropriately so that companies see really the value in these people.
And
So
could you say a little bit more about the whole idea of fractional roles and how this is changing in the world of work and society today, please?
sure, like I think fractional started with the C-level positions. There are a lot of CFOs and CMOs, chief financial officer, chief marketing officers, that were not necessarily needed to work full time for a company. So they could leverage themselves by working in multiple companies, maybe 3 companies, and have, in that case, be a full time fractional, which they would dedicate maybe 20% for a company, 50% for another company, maybe 30 other percent of another company, and also bring their skills and expertise to these companies. There are a lot of companies, particularly startups, that cannot afford to have a senior role position and pay very high salary for them to be full time with the company. So this is another kind of category that companies would like to have a senior position with less hours engaged for the company, but definitely bring the value to the company. And then on the perspective of individuals, there are many people that would simply like to have just one part-time job, no matter, like they might have other engagements like taking care of elderly people, new moms or whatever, that would suit them better to have just one job. And we call this part-time fractional. So they can bring their whole self, but they just don't have enough time to spread it into different companies or institutions.
And this is an interesting piece because I mean we're looking at sort of Narwhal Networks as a sort of player within this space and sort of the facilitation element here. But what are the sort of the specific goals for the short and medium term as well in terms of geography, but also different sectors that you're looking at as well, Arta?
So first of all, we are looking as a first hand only narwhals. We call them narwhals. They are actually fractionals. Narwhal is the true unicorn of the sea. They are the blessed part of the sea. So that's why we also consider these fractionals, these highly professional people, as a blessing to be part of our community. We are growing our community and we are giving quite some information or tools that are good good for the first phase, if I can call it like that. Because again, this is kind of messy. Like people need to know what a real fractional is and how they can dedicate their time and how they can find a job. And we also think that, especially for highly skilled people, it is not that typical person of a CMO would go and search for jobs every day. Usually those positions come from networking and from the way they present themselves, which is why we want to have in our platform the knowledge-based, the certification of fractionals, the CRM, and these are all individually for people that are part of our community, and as well as connecting with the like-minded people with other fractionals where they can also collaborate in the future. And the final part is the matchmaking, where we actually create the job opportunities for these fractionals and placement into different companies. Geographically, it is not that we are specific into one country only, but we are we are widely open, so it's a global platform. However, we've seen the trends that this is more accurate, more typical for developed countries and less for developing countries, because it's in developing countries the traditional work is still relevant, is still happening, whereas developed countries moved forward in this direction. But we're not excluding them either to be part of the network.
Yeah. And when we talk about how digitalization is transforming society as well as the economy and the world of work, how are you seeing that in terms of the role of technology and the vital role that it's playing here?
Yeah, it's very interesting because lately, and I will go back to your real question, but I've talked to some friends that they are sending kids into these alternative schools, and they mentioned to me that they are working into this portfolio of individuals because I can see that more and more technology is giving people uh, this power of deciding what you really want to do with yourself and how you want to frame. This is why we call this portfolio career, where you as an individual uh, can say, okay, I have 10 skills and I can do this and that. And technology would allow me to do that because now, we're doing this interview far from each other thanks to technology. Before, this was impossible. So similar like this, there are so many job opportunities out there that remote work is becoming the new normal. Like it's not something that you cannot do, or that there are a lot of requirement for that, and particularly for fractionals, because not because they are part-time workers, but because the expertise that they bring in is so specific to the company that they are happy to onboard these people also online. So um, I think that pandemic and digitalization did have a huge impact in moving this, what we call the new gig, or transforming from the traditional work into what we now call this fractional or portfolio careers. So digitalization really helped to navigate into this direction.
Absolutely. And how's this working in terms of the element of individuals needing to create a role for themselves, actually to create a digital presence, and therefore sort of brand building, personal brand building. How important that is in the sort of the future of the work and developments that are ongoing today.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I've met so many like influential people globally, and it's, you kind of think that, okay, these people have to have this personal branding because they're so successful or they hold a very important position. But usually people are better at presenting other people rather than yourself, and you always underestimate yourself. It's almost like part of our nature, who we are. So this personal branding is not a new thing. It's old, but still very, very vivid, very relevant to everyone. And and I had cases that they said, I would pay for such service just to help me create my personal branding because it's so important. And sometimes, because things are moving so fast, and let's say you're currently working as a researcher, but in the past you had so many other roles, and you forget about these roles. So when you present yourself, maybe you present yourself as a researcher, forgetting all these skills that might be so important and relevant for this person that you're talking to, that might link into a potential contract, let's say. Additionally, LinkedIn is becoming a typical social media. So before, it was very much linked into the professional part and work. Now it's more and more going into the direction of typical social media, and now people are not so much relying on your profile of LinkedIn. So having, let's say, your personal kind of website where you put all your skills and your portfolio and everything helps a lot, because it's you who designed that, and this is how you want to be framed and known for other companies. And we also see that CV is going to downgrade in the future, because now with the AI, everyone can make like a perfect CV for any kind of position. But it's how you actually present this bio, this yourself, this personal branding, that will have a lot more impact than just sending a CV that either might be 12 pages or 2 pages, doesn't matter. Now you can ask ChatGPT of making 2 pages your CV based on this position. They will all create this. But the human part, the way you communicate, the personal branding, the short bio that you explain to someone is something that no AI could do it unless you as a person can actually provide that.
Yeah.
So that's why we wanted to work in this community to really help them. Like AI is still helping and will help, and it's kind of a personal assistant. We see that important role of integrating also in our platform. But we do not let anyone joining our community without having a human to human call, because we want to check each of these individuals that are coming. And in that way, we first of all have the trust who we're working with, so we can then create this community that would benefit from each other, and then companies later on.
Yeah. Well, that's very interesting, and this covers different sectors as well. There's not just one sector where this applies to. It's something that sort of works across the board in terms of skills, knowledge, expertise, experience, and the individual sectors that people want to get involved with, I guess.
That is true. I mean, there are some positions like, I don't know, doctors, factories, that you have to be like physically present in your office. But in most of the positions where you have management role in different positions, I think it would be accurate to have fractional workers. And also these what we call technical skills are very important. Let's say cybersecurity role, or a linkage between the finance and sales on a specific industry, it would be super relevant for some companies. So we are again open to different sectors, but most of these positions have to be linked into the fractional positions. So we are dedicated only to work with fractionals, and only with the companies that would want to hire fractionals.
Arta, this is really interesting to sort of learn about sort of Narwhal Network, what you're doing, but also the developments in the sector, and also how we're taking things forward. So really appreciate your time today, and look forward to hearing more about updates further on as we move on further down the line.
Thank you so much for having me, and all the best with your new gig podcast. Make sure you do a lot of interviews on the really new gig. It is coming. Thanks a
Let's
lot.
hope so. Well, please come back and tell us more about the developments, and look forward to speaking soon.
Thank you so much. With pleasure.